That's good stuff, ain't it? Shabbat Shalom. Come on, one more time. Shabbat Shalom. It's good to be in the house with you all on today, on this holy Shabbat. We give y'all praise. We give y'all honor. All honor and glory belongs to Him. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Everybody fired up because these teachers was killing it this Shabbat. Woo, man, the women's class was off the chain. The men's class, I got a chance to hear the discussion over here. I'm like, man, these fellas, these Hebrews, trying to get deep, trying to understand script. And of course, that's what this is all about. The end game is to know Yah, to love Yah, and to keep His commandments. Hallelujah. And for the first time in many of our lives, we are reading the Bible through the lens of the Hebrew Israelite people that wrote it. Hallelujah. And what is it doing? Clarifying everything. By the way, honestly, I left my game here. Did you see it? Did anybody? Uncle Neville got it. Hallelujah. Oh, my heart was racing all week long. Anseli made a game, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to have this available to Hebrews worldwide. We actually had a chance to play the game at Sukkot. And what it is, it's a wooden block game, and it has all of the Hebrew alphabet on it. Then it has all the meanings of the alphabet, and then another block with the meanings, and then another block has all of the pictures. Oh, yeah. So, like, here's one of them. For instance, this says arm and hand, and on the back it has the word work. So, what letter is this? Yes, it'd be the what? The Yah, or the Yo, right. And so everyone is like this with their different meanings. And then there's some with just the pictures of the, here you can take this back, just the picture of the pictograph, and then the modern script. So when we put them all together, it really teaches you the definitions and the words and all that. And Todah Rabbah for having that insight to put that skill together. Hallelujah. So Todah, give her a hand. She's in the room. Didn't know she had them kind of skills. So Todah. All right. Also, let me ask the question. How are y'all doing during this season of the witch? You hanging in there, or this music hitting you? Are the Christmas lights luring you in? Like a mosquito being drawn to a bug zapper? The lights, they're so pretty. They're so pretty. Next thing you know, you're going to be worshiping the devil. Bowing down to a tree that's actually a male penis, a phallus symbol. And having your babies bend their knee down to the phallus in order to get some kind of gift. Because that's where you put it, at the base of the phallus. Well, we got to deal with this season of the witch, y'all. I told you all, once you start on what they call the black side of the season of the witch, of course, that's the Halloween where you got all the people dressing up like the devil. We know that, right? And then begging strangers for candy. That's the dark side. That's the beginning of the season of the witch. And it runs all the way through to what we call, what they call their new year, which is really the worship of Janus, which is where you get your word January from. And of course, that's the goddess of fortune. And so the season of the witch is really strong during this time because it's using quote unquote positive things like giving and lights and music to draw you in. But don't, yeah, deceptive for sure. But don't let it draw you in. Do the history of Santa Claus and find out that he's got an alter ego. He has an alter ego called Crumpet. And y'all should look at what his alter ego does. He comes back the next day and he kills and rapes children. And the devil knows you can't have half of the satanic venture without the other. So what goes on behind the scenes during this time of year? Suicide, rape, murder, theft. That's why y'all locking up everything right now. Drunkenness, rabble-rousing. All at such a high fever pitch that all the police departments in every major city during this time of year are on high alert. Oh, I know it's the season of the witch and the power is strong. And they're going to always use Hebrew Israelites that got golden voices to sing you into the holiday spirit. Chestnut roasted. Oh, as soon as you hear Nat King Cole, it's over. And then you got, oh man, there's Ray Charles. They even bring out Aretha Franklin on you. All the great voices, man. They go Luther Vandross. Some of these kids like, who are these people? You're gonna hear them in a minute. Don't worry about it. It's the season of the witch. And don't let them fool you. It's not no one-sided thing. And I don't know, I think me and Teshua was talking about that, but if it wasn't Teshua, somebody that's close to me, we were talking about how does the devil use the same old trick on every one of his days to draw you in? Candy. Was that you? Candy. Ain't y'all grown enough to be through with candy? And don't you got enough money to buy some candy anytime you get ready? I mean, is anybody really starving that just got to have some green M&Ms? Is that really what your whole world is about right now? Be strong, Zion. If anybody know that the Morah is trying to encourage you to leave this foolishness behind as we walk according to the Most High Yah, put a number 7 in the room and those that's in this room, say hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Caleb brought out the candy stuff.
Yeah.
Caleb brought it.
Oh, that was Caleb. Okay. We move into another level, Zion. And on this level, Rudolph can't come to this level. Ain't taking no reindeer, no shiny noses to the level we going to. You understand that? Ain't no pixie dust up here. No heat misers, no snow misers. There's no Mother Nature. Hallelujah. We ain't got no little slave elves somewhere working for nothing, talking about they just so happy to be putting together a billion toys. We ain't got none of that. We're so above that, Zion, but for some of you all, it's a struggle. It's your first year. Grandmama and them think you done lost your mind. Your aunties done pulled your kids to the side talking about, baby, just call me. Now you got to figure out how you're going to talk to auntie. Look here, auntie, these my kids. I know, but you ain't going to give your baby no Christmas. And then that makes you on the edge of using expletives. No. We dedicate ourselves this time of year. We rededicate our lives to the Most High God this time of year. We remember the ultimate. When Yah so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, not a European that came down through Europe, but an Afro-Asiatic that came down through the 12 tribes of Israel and is a product of that fourth tribe. Y'all know Judah represent. So we were through with the lies. And by the way, Hamashiach was born on Sukkot and circumcised the 8th day. John told us as plain as day that the word became flesh and there. Sukkot, tabernacle. And we beheld his glory as the only begotten of the Father, full of what? And that's right. If you in this room and that's making sense, and we ain't even cracked open the text yet, put another 7 in this room. Let me know that we rolling together. And then those in the room say hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let us strengthen each other during this time of year. Because for some people it's lonely. Some people this is hard. I remember my first couple of, I was out of that like 30 years ago, but I remember what people were going through, I should say, when I first woke up to the truth. And the walk to them, especially during the holiday season, is very, very difficult. If you haven't done this, I put up I posted something on Friday. I normally do a live stream, but I posted this time, and I gave a word of encouragement to all of you all, and that is that in this, I called it a Santanic, during this Santanic holiday. We have to encourage one another to be strong. Now, some of us been in this walk a long time, and we forget to these holidays even show up. You know, I got so offended when they kept telling me, Happy Thanksgiving. I got offended every time somebody said that to me. I want to tell somebody, don't you know I'm indigenous? I'm what you call an American Indian. I'm a native of this land. Ain't nothing happy or Thanksgiving about your Thanksgiving day for me and my people. I should have Uncle Neville just make me a t-shirt that says, don't even say it. I'm indigenous. Don't say it. I'm indigenous. So I'm gonna wear it during that whole season. When they get ready to say that, read the shirt. Indigenous. No, that's all a part. That's all a part of the cycle. And we're in a world and in a country that is built on lies. And I've got something I'm gonna be working on in a meditation, because I'm trying to figure out why, and I mean this, I'm trying to figure out why this country wants to support or back things that they have already confessed to be lies. I don't understand, like, why do you still push the lie when at the same time you've already said it was a lie? For instance, did Columbus discover America? No! Of course not. How you discover a place and there's people here? Unless you feel like them ain't people. Like they were animals or something, then you say, I discovered this land with a bunch of animals. But we've done the research and found out it was a high level of advanced civilization in the Americas that had pyramids that dwarfed the pyramids of Egypt. Real talk. Canals, floating gardens, plumbing. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. Some people believe they even had sources of electricity. Ain't that something? They believe it. I said, and then all of a sudden, here you come talking about you discovered a place. So how about a bunch of us get a boat and float across over to Europe and discover it? You say, wait, you can't do that. Why not? That's what y'all did. You came over here and said you discovered something. Can we jump on a boat, go discover that, and kill everybody there and take their land and move in their houses? Oh, Maury, don't talk like that. Okay. I'm trying to show y'all how to defeat the enemy during the time of the witch. Expose the lies. There is no Santa Claus. So arguing whether or not he's white or black is stupid. He don't exist. Be strong, Zion, during this time. And be on guard. There are kingdoms in conflict. I'm going to talk about that today a little bit more when we get into the message. And once again, I would like to receive an offering before I teach the lesson. Because once again, I'm going to be going hard. Like I heard one brother say, I'm going to be going hard in the paint. That's a basketball term, which means I'm going to be throwing elbows, trying to move people out the way, trying to get the rebound, trying to go for the layup. In other words, we're going in today.
Yes, sir.
All right? And because of that, I want to make sure we get a chance to give our offering and support the work of the ARK. As you all know, if you're getting the downloads, Uncle Neville downloaded today some pictures from the Texas meetup. Brought back memories for me. Told them about Uncle Neville. And you can see that we're doing the work. Of course, every week we put together these videos and these messages that go out to the 12 tribes. And in between time, we are still doing what we're supposed to be doing as the ARK. I also want to put the men and heads of houses, but for sure the brothers, men. Some of you are going to be getting a call from me. I had a distress call come in from one of our beloved brethren, and I'm not going to put it out online, but I'll just let you know that I'll be either emailing you or calling you so that we can all come together and do something special. The more of us do it, the easier the burden to be. All right? So some of y'all in this room already know you're getting the call. But I'm not ever going to be asking for you to do a particular thing. I just want you to know the situation and how we can help lift the burden of one of our brothers that called across the country. All right, so we want to definitely do that because that's what we do. We're the ARK and we try to help one another, especially, in distress situations. Not just when a person say, I ran out of gas. Okay, then get a bite. We ain't talking about that kind of stuff. We're talking about life and death. I would never ask you all to do something if it wasn't a situation that's serious. All right, so we want to do that. I want these drummers, if they would. I heard some nice drumming going on. I want these drummers to get something going in this room. I can't wait till next week. Annah Jack is going to be in the house. We're going to have music. And jazz and soul should be back. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. My grandbaby is healthy. And y'all don't even know. Don't even know. That right there, boy. But anyway, so hallelujah, I told out for all of you our prayers, but they will be able to come out next week, and we're going to have a wonderful time fellowshipping right here at the ARK here in town. All right, come on, kid. Yeah. Ari and Jade are going to receive the offering in the room. Oh, excellent, excellent. You want to pray? All right. Abba Yah, I pray that you will bless those who are going to give to support this work so that we can keep doing what you put our hands to do. Expanding the kingdom and helping to wake up Jacob before it's too late. Hallelujah. Amen. All right, those of you who are watching while we're doing this, go to the ARK and make a donation to the work of any amount. If it's 200 of us in the room, we ought to have 200 donations of some amount. And if there are, which some of you all still haven't caught on, but praying for you. And then of course there's Cash App and other ways that you can give. You can see that on the website. But come on, let's play some music while we do that. Hallelujah. And let's give Yah love a cheerful giving.
Hold on. Let us pray. Dear Abba, we just thank you for just blessing us on this week. And we can never repay, but we just want to show you our gratitude, give you your tenth, give you your offering. Just thank you for just blessing us. In your son's name, I say, amen.
Hallelujah. And Toda Rabba. All right. Matthew chapter 10. Matthew chapter 10, we're going to continue our study on what did our King do. What did our King do? In Matthew chapter 10, around verse 1, you are going to see that he summoned his disciples to himself. He called them to himself. It was a summoning of them first to him. Now, why does he do this? He does this because opposition to him is growing. He is now entering into what we call the years of opposition. So remember, we're going to get his years of obscurity, then his years of popularity, and then we're now entering into his years of opposition. Now, let me tell you what that means. As a cycle, a life cycle, there will be a time when nobody knows who you are obscure, and then you Hebrews find the truth. All of a sudden you start reading, you get so happy. You want to go tell other people about it. And then they hear you for a minute, and all of a sudden here come the haters. So you go from being popular to people opposing you. Everybody following Hamashiach is going to go through their years, and I'm using this as a term now, of opposition. Don't let this particular season in your walk hinder you from your walk. If you know it's coming, before it gets there, it shouldn't knock you out the blocks once it arrives. You ought to be ready for it. Say, man, why you got your arms up? Ain't nobody around? I know they're coming. Man, ain't nobody here. They're coming though. So you just, you ever watch boxing? Funny thing ever, I watch boxing and them cats be swinging in air. Just, they be in the room like, what you doing? They call it shadow boxing. In their mind, they are already in the ring. Oh, y'all didn't hear that. That went way, that was like, shh. In their mind, they're thinking about how high who the opponent is, his strength, his weakness, and their offense and defense and counter moves, and they're not even in the ring yet. But they know what? That the time in the ring is coming. How come you Hebrews keep getting caught off guard? Come on, man. We're watching the life of Hamashiach, and he said, if it happened to me, and you following me, it's going to happen to you. If that makes sense, put another 11 in this room. Let the whole world know that you're now rolling with the Moreh when it comes to where we are in our studies. The time of opposition. So what our King does, he summons men to join him. Now, are they joining him in play or are they joining him in fight? Which one? This is fight. They're joining him in a battle. They're joining him in war. In other words, he's saying, I need you to come to me because I'm getting ready to send you out on the battlefield. Now, it's a poor soldier that just want to wear the uniform. You just want to go to the surplus store and get you a nice hat. But you don't ever want to see battle. But if Yah has called you to himself, he's called you to battle. When I was young, many of the songs growing up had a battle theme to it. We are soldiers in the army. Or I'm on the battlefield. And I promise that I will serve until I what? Die. So how come y'all quit when somebody posts something on Facebook? You said you was in it till you died. That killed you? A Facebook quote? Somebody wrote me and said, Maury. No, they didn't write me. They left me a message on my phone. They said, Maury, you need to call me, man. You need to call me. And I was like, okay, I'm listening to this message and said, boy, people out here are on the internet talking about you, man, something terrible. I said, I ain't calling you about that. Why would I call you about somebody talking about me when that's what they're supposed to do? You want me to stop people talking about me? That's crazy. You know why they're talking about me? Because I'm out here. Woo, I feel something. I'm out here on his word. I'm out front. And that's not catching me by surprise. Matter of fact, I don't think it's enough people putting up negative video. I'm gonna have to preach a little harder. Because if they start liking you too much, you might be getting soft. Come on now. Come on. I'm already talking about you bad. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words, no, they can't hurt me, not right now. I'm battle tough, battle worn, battle proven. He's not calling wimps, he's calling soldiers. And he prayed before he called these men. And Matthew records the list of men. And matter of fact, I was going to have Teshua read off the names and give you something special about it, but I didn't get to him ahead of time, so I'll have him prepared for that next week because it's important. But there's two things he did. He calls them to him, and then he equips them. So there is the calling and the equipping. Because the work you're getting ready to do with him is a work you cannot do without him. Did that make sense? The work he's getting ready to call, that he's calling you to do with him, you cannot accomplish it without him because it's too hard for you. And it's too hard for me. So we got to learn how to depend on him for our strength. So he calls us first to him, then he equips us, and then he sends us out to do the work. So Matthew chapter 10, now we're going to get into this text. If this is making sense so far, put another 11 in the room, those of you watching online. If it's making sense that he's calling a band of men around him during the time of his opposition so that they can continue the fight. because that's what it's really about. All right. Them 11s is rolling through here. Ooh, from all over the world. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. See, my administrators in the room too. Hallelujah. Drinker. Hallelujah. Good to see you. Z, good to see you. All right. Let's get to this Matthew 10. It's incredible. I love seeing things in the script that we've looked at 1,000 times, but then the Most High allows us to see it with new eyes. And when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, which we discovered were Talmudim, he gave unto them power against unclean spirits to cast them out, and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of diseases. We talked about that last week. Now the names of the 12 are these. Everybody ought to memorize these 12 disciples. You know all them reindeer. You know on the 12th day of Christmas and what the true love gave to you. How you don't know these disciples? Oh my goodness gracious. All right, the names are these: Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew his brother, James the son of Zebedee, and John. So you know that James' real name is Jacob, John's is Yehochanan, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the publican, James the son of Alphaeus and Lebbaeus, whose surname was Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him. So those men are the ones he called to be his 12 Talmudim, his 12 disciples. And in this group, we have ranging fishermen, farmers, tax collectors, zealots. Those are the people talking about fight the power. They're part of the group. That's what I'm talking about, right? That's the group. He's got a group. All right? These are Afro-Asiatic men and women, which simply mean, that's an English term, meaning they are from East Africa. That's what the word means. It does not mean yellow skin and slant eyes. Asia simply means east. Look it up in Hebrew. That's all it means. It's east. And when they mention east, they mean east in Africa, or east of Africa, or the land. Now, I ain't gonna get into that, but there's an original name for the land. All right, now watch this. These 12, Yahushua sent forth. He called them and equipped them. Then he sent them. He sent them. And I got stuck here because I said, he sent Judas too. So what happened to some of y'all's doctrine? That once you in, you in. Ain't no way around it. Judas was called. And there's no way around it. He was in. There's no way around it. He was given power. And there's no way around it. He was sent. But this cat didn't stick. Read the record. It's one of the most tragic stories in the whole Bible. I would say next to Saul. You got Saul and Solomon and Judas. Those are some tragic stories. And the reason is because of the promise that they have in the beginning and the waste that we see in the end. Wasted opportunity. Whew. These 12 Hamashiach sent forth and commanded them Is this in your Bible or is this in my Bible? Go what? Go not into the... Is that in your Bible? You mean to tell me that he literally said to his 12, I'm sending y'all out to go preach, but I've got a boundary. I've got a boundary. I said, what is that boundary? He said, don't be going off into Gentile territory. I thought that was so interesting. Because, you know, we have the idea that you're supposed to just go anybody, everybody, all the time. The more I get doctrine out of my head and get Bible in my head. So you replace doctrine with scripture, one of the things we'll start to understand is that Yahushua, our King, can command whatever he wants at any time he wants of you. Yes, I know y'all hate to hear this, but he can tell you where to go, what to do, how far. Watch this, and where not to go. Even if your favorite second cousin is over there. He said, don't go over there. Now, is that true even after the resurrection? Does anybody remember when Paul wanted to, Shaul, when he wanted to travel to a particular place, and he says, and the Ruach HaKodesh forbid me, or forbade us. I think if you look at that list, he tried at least 5 places. Ruach said, don't go that way. He's like, I'm going to go over here. Then he, don't go over there either. Okay, I know we can go this way. He was like, I'm not going there either. He said he kept it. What does that mean? It means that when you are sold out to him, this is not a free-for-all. This ain't your thing. It's his thing. And I can hear him saying, but I thought you came to save the whole world. He was like, that's none of your business. I'm doing this according to the way I need to do this to reach the world. So right now, I'm telling you all, don't go to the Gentiles. There's reasons for that. One, you ain't ready for what these Gentiles gonna throw at you. That's right. That's right. You have no idea. Little sheltered fishermen and farmers. Woo! That Gentile world is something else. What we got to do first is reach the house of what? We got to go rather to those lost sheep of the house. But I thought the Christian church said that Yeshua, that Yah, is not dealing with nations and nationalities no more. I thought it was all about individuals now. So you mean to tell me that the house of Israel still exists? Hallelujah. And that he still cares about them? Yes. Yes. And that he still wants them to get the message? Watch this. And he does not want them overlooked. Come on. Come on. Hallelujah. I hear you. Because what normally starts to happen among us, if we are given a commission, we will overlook Israel. Yes, yes. Trying to get the message to the Gentiles. That's right. Right. I used to be Southern Baptist. I told y'all that. Back in the day, I was Baptist, right? And it used to trip me out, and I asked the question, but they never could answer the question. I couldn't understand why they were always claiming to do missionary work to Africa when we, sons and daughters of slave Africans, is right across the railroad track. got to spend no money. Just walk over there. There's Africa right there. No, you're going to bypass the chosen. Y'all missed that one. But you can rewind the video. This is live streaming. I used to tell them that. I don't get it. Connie's in the room. She's been knowing me for years. I used to tell them that. I don't understand how you do that. How do you raise money and take it over into Africa? But then a poor, struggling, what you call an African American church or group can be losing their building, losing their land, losing all, and you won't give them a quota. Or if you do, it'll be at a high interest rate. So Hamashiach makes sure that if we're going to do the work of the kingdom, we start where? At home. If that makes sense, put a 21 in this room. Y'all's opening our eyes, and we're seeing this text already in ways we haven't seen it before. He's saying we have a tendency of skipping over the people that's right next to us. We have a tendency of not talking to the people that's living in the same house as us. We have a tendency of leapfrogging over home base. He said, no, I want you to start home. And you start home. The Hebrew Israelites at this time were under what's called Roman occupation. The Roman government, which we know Rome, Italy, the Italian bands, these men had dispatched companies, centurions, soldiers, and these people occupied our holy land. And therefore, when Hamashiach got here, he told his disciples, he was like, look, don't go to the Gentiles. Well, don't they need to hear the message too? Yeah, but right now, I need to talk to my family. Why? Oh, because this message I have is for the family first. All right. So what we're going to do? Can I show it to you? He says, in verse 7, he says, preach. I'm going to send you out to do something. He said, what? I need you to preach to them that the kingdom of Shamayim, the kingdom of heaven, is drawing near. Or, another way of saying, that the kingdom of heaven is come. And here's where my message is going to be today. I'm only going to do part 1. I want you to really get this. The number one thing he told them to do was preach. I thought the number one thing to do was go out healing, raising the dead, and feeding the hungry. But that's not in the text. The very first thing he said, do, preach. Preaching, according to the text, is priority. So they gotta first be preachers. We have to stop having an attitude of negativity toward preachers and preaching. Amen. Our problem should not be with preachers and preaching. It should be with false preachers and false preaching. Did that make sense? The problem is not with preaching. The problem is with preaching the wrong thing. The problem is not with the preacher. The problem is with the fake preachers. Because when Hamashiach called the men, the very first job he's going to give them is to preach. So if you're not willing to preach, it's going to be hard for you to follow him. Because number one, I told you, Hamashiach Yahushua is a preacher. This is a preaching group. And all these are his, and I'll use this term, some of y'all will understand it. These 12 are to become his associate. They're his associate ministers. They all got to be in preaching class. They have to preach. Now, in the Greek, where am I at on time? Oh my goodness. Woo. All right, in the Greek, you got an interesting word here where the word keresete, which is to proclaim or to herald or to preach, right? But we know that the Bible is not written in Greek. The Bible is written in Hebrew. So this word simply means to proclaim. But I want to show you in Hebrew what this word means. So the very first word we get in the taf, and you can find that particular word in the Old Testament. That word literally means to drop. Another word means to drip or to drop. And that also means a discourse. Okay, so then preaching is more than just proclaiming. Into the Hebrew, preaching has something to do with dropping something on somebody. Do y'all know that term that we use? Say, man, let me drop some what? Ooh, y'all in the room. So it's not just yelling anything, it's dropping something on a particular people. It's unloading a burden. That's preaching. If you're not dropping something, you ain't preaching. You're just making noise. Another word is discourse, which means that preaching should have in it some teaching. In other words, all good preaching creates a direction. All good preaching shows a path. All good preaching brings a person to a crisis. In other words, I've got to make a decision. Did you hear what that preacher said? Say, yeah. The next question is, what we going to do? That's why I know Peter and them was preaching on the day of Pentecost, which is really our day of Shavuot, because when they finished preaching, the people said, men and brethren, what should we do? And Kepha said, repent. Hebrew? What you talking about? Fall on your face. Confess your sin. So that's what preaching does. The other word for preaching is kor, which is kuf resh, kor. And it's where we get our word koel from, which has to do with an assembly. And it's also our word call. It sounds like call. It's qual, it's core. It would be in English, the closest thing you could write would be like, maybe like a Q-R, yeah, or Q-U-R, I guess. That'd be the closest. I don't know how you can spell it in English, but it's kufresh in Hebrew. And it has to do with, of course, we know that the kuf is the setting of the sun, and the light gathers into a place every sunset. If you watch it, the light of the day seems to gather into one place as the sun seems to be going down, right? And of course, the resh is a picture of a man's head. So the gathering of light, and you see a man's head, put the two together, and you get the gathering of men. So what preaching also does, preaching gathers men together. Okay, so who, according to this text, needs to be gathered? Come on, we're still in Matthew. Who needs to be gathered? At this point, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So he's getting ready to start a movement in the earth, and he decides that he's going to use his disciples, his associate preachers, to help him first gather the house together. So what preaching should do, it should also gather Israel. That's why I know a lot of what we call today preaching is not preaching at all. Because it's doing more scattering than it is gathering. Now, I don't have a problem with it scattering the unbeliever, or scattering the heathen, or scattering the Gentile. They're supposed to read it and run. They're supposed to hear it and faint. Y'all know I told y'all good news is only good depending on what side you're on. That's why y'all gotta be careful trying to follow that Christian formula. Knocking on people's door talking about, have you heard the good news? And you about to tell the heathen that his days is coming to a swift end. That ain't good news to him. That our king is coming back to kill everybody that's not walking with him. That ain't good news to him. That's only good news to us. If that makes sense, put a 29. I need a 29 in this room. That makes sense that the news, whether it's good or bad, is only determined by what side of Hamashiach you're on. So there's two, 29, rolling through here. Now, the reason that's important that you catch that is because some of us want to sort of rate our preaching on how people say you did good. Well, it depends on what side you're on. What is our word? What is our word for bad or for evil? Ra, resh, ayin. Resh, ayin, head, eye. A man's head and an eye. Put the two together, it's how a man sees it. Whenever we look at something through man's eyes or through man's way, it is considered dysfunctional or ra. Ra's dysfunction. Matter of fact, one of our words for sin is connected to Ra. All right? Now, what's the word for good? Tov. And Tov has to do with functional. It has to be functional. So here's what, quote unquote, and I gotta hurry on. Here's what good preaching is. Good preaching is not the sound quality of a preacher's voice. Whether he can sing, whether he can hum, yeah, I wanna do it, I wanna be calling, ooh, yeah. See, if you get caught up in just voice quality and tonality, he can say anything and y'all be shouting. That's why we're so messed up today, because a lot of Hebrews got good voices. They can say anything. Jack be nimble, Jack be quicker, Jack don't go the candlestick. I don't know how he jumped so high, touched the sky, didn't come down to the 4th of July. Anybody here know what I'm talking about? Yeah! by the tone of their voice, but by the clarity and the functionality. How functional is the message being delivered? Does that make sense to you? So if the message creates dysfunction, and I'm going to tell you what's dysfunctional for the preacher to preach. It's like, boy, he sure preached. Well, what did he say, honey? I don't know what he said, but he sure said it. I'm having too much fun with y'all on this Shabbat because I'm hoping you're getting my point. That he's sending these men to preach. Now, does preaching involve emotion? Yes. Does preaching require the preacher to lift up his voice like a trumpet? Yes. Does preaching require a particular amount of boldness? Yes. You have to be fearsome, fearless as a preacher. That's why we tell the people, if you scared, get to the rear. Don't be coming up here trying to preach and you a scaredy cat. This ain't no place for you. Get in the rear with the girls. Got no problem with you in the group, but don't be no preacher scared. We don't need no scary preachers in this group. If you're a scary person, stay in the back. We got you. We ain't mad at you, but we going out on the front line. Hallelujah. And we fighting to the death. So it's all we can do. And if Hebrews is willing to die for rags and colors and street corners that they don't own, how much more should a preacher be willing to lay down his life for the house of Israel? The third word is Basar. And of course, Bet Samet Resh. And that is the picture of to report something. So our message is not just preaching, but it's also a reporting. Have you heard the verse that says, for who hath what? Believed our report. Does anybody know what scripture that is in the Old Testament verse? Come on in the room, you Bible scholars. Isaiah what? Find it then. Come on, let's find it. We're going to read it. See, I'm afraid of Zion that if Google ever go down, y'all ain't better find no script. Boy, if Siri stop answering your phone, you'll be in trouble. Who hath believed our report? Let me see if somebody got it in the line. Anybody out there got it? Of course he got it. Come on, it's the famous verse. What'd you say? That's right. Isaiah 53, verse 1. So we have the idea of a report. So 3 sides of our preaching. Let me give it to you quickly. The first is to drop knowledge. The second is to have in dropping knowledge, there is a discourse or a discussion or a reasoning, if you please. Another side to Hebrew preaching is that our preaching is not just to preach, it's to call people. It's to call them to gather. Why? Because in the gathering, we got to report something. We have to tell you what's true. And we have to give you the news. I didn't say the good news at this point. I'm just saying we got to tell you the news. Now, if you are with the king, it's good news. It's tov. It's functional. This news is going to help you get your life together. My mom used to say that all the time. Boy, get your life. So how do we get our life together? We got to hear the news. Once we hear the news, then we start conforming ourselves to him. So the question has to be, what is this life-changing message? What is this life-changing news? What is this message that's so powerful that it'll take a Hebrew off the streets, off the corner, out of the crack house? It'll get a Hebrew out of the gambling casino. It'll have him putting alcoholic lifestyles behind. What kind of message is so important that it'll make you, what my mom used to say, straighten up and fly right? That actually came from an old blues song about a monkey jumping on the back of an eagle. And the eagle tried to get rid of the monkey. Y'all never heard that old blues song? Kept doing that. That monkey grabbed that eagle around the neck and said, listen, you better straighten up and fly right. I don't know how I got over there. What I'm saying is the power of the message will start making you get your life in order. So then the question has to be, what do we preach? And here's the answer. That the kingdom of heaven is now here. Now, for those of you who have to leave, and I know some of y'all can't stay because of situations, I get that. But for those of you who can stay to the rest of this message, we're getting ready to go on a ride. I'm gonna need you to put your seatbelts on. If those of you gotta go, I get it. Shalom, shalom, and you catch the rebroadcast. But I'm gonna finish this one because this got to go out worldwide. But you have to be ready to roll with me. I'm not playing about that one. Because we're getting ready to jump into some stuff that we ain't jumped in a long time. We're going to get into this. So watch this. He says we're going to preach the kingdom. How are we going to preach a kingdom? Inside of another kingdom. If you're rolling with me that the Most High is calling these men to do something that's real dangerous, would you put a 51 in this room that right now, for the first time, you're starting to see something? He's getting ready to tell them to preach a kingdom while they are yet in a kingdom. And not only do they got to preach a kingdom, they literally have to, not my words, they have to tell the house of Israel that is here. Can I ask y'all a question? What is the greatest fear of any kingdom? What'd you say? An overthrow. Every kingdom has one major fear. You know what it is? Another kingdom coming in and wiping them out. Number one fear. Go all the way back to the very first world empire that we know on record, in biblical record, which is the Egyptian Empire. Remember when our ancestors was in them brickyards? And there arose a Pharaoh that did not know Joseph. He looked at the multiplication of Hebrews and said, man, they bigger, they stronger, they multiply like, woo! If we don't do something quick, they're going to join with our enemies and get themselves up. In other words, they're going to cause a coup. They're going to leave. So kingdoms live sort of paranoid. And so therefore, every kingdom builds a defense. Because kingdoms know, for the most part, they are only as good as their military. Y'all know, I don't give two wooden nickels with holes in them when it comes to American politics. It's funny to me. I'm watching two sides of the same coin. I don't care how you flip it, it's still 25 cents. Heads or tails. Am I right about that? Right wing versus left wing is a stupid argument. The bird can't fly if it don't have both wings. They're playing you, Zion. They ain't playing themselves. The powers that be is pulling on your emotions, your attention. This country has one major concern, and that's making sure we can fight and kill people. I'm talking about and kill them quick. Man, if we find a second grader that's got some kind of interest in science and technology, they be like, man, get him. Next thing you know, this boy be working 8 years old in the Department of Defense, busting codes and stuff. Like, man, oh, that's what they do. They're going to always do that because they're paranoid. And the leaders of every nation are also paranoid. What's their biggest fear? Most of the time it's assassination. So therefore they have with them what? Bodyguards. In America we don't call them bodyguards, we call them what? Secret Service. Notice this. The Secret Service protect the Democrat and the Republican. Why? One bird. Y'all get caught up in that stuff. I don't. I just like to argue. I just like to make. Oh man, look, I already know this. I know who this country is. All right. So I want you to understand something. Now, Hamashiach is telling his disciples, "I'm going to have you go into this earthly kingdom." Watch this. And let the family know that the real kingdom is here. You know what that means? It ain't gonna be long. And we're gonna tear this entire man kingdom down. Now do you see why the message of the kingdom has to first start where? Because first you got to call the brothers together. Hey, hey, what's up, man? I got some news. Well, what's the news? So you know that kingdom, man, that we've been talking about? Like you've been hearing grandma and them and great-grandpa and great-great. They keep talking about one day. So yeah, it's here. Okay, so the question then leads to this. If the kingdom is coming, what kind of kingdom is it? And why is it so important that we know this kingdom? Because in the Greek, all we found out that kingdom represented a rulership. But in Hebrew, this kingdom is a little bit different. Now, this is where I need your patience. Once we get through this, I'm pretty much done with the first part of the message and we'll be done today. I need you to know what this kingdom is. Because the world is not ignorant to kingdoms, or let me use this word, superpowers. America not no first superpower. So let's go to the book of Daniel. Let's go to the book of Daniel. Let's go to the book of Daniel. And let's look at chapter 2. Everybody's scared of these books. Don't be scared of your Bible. Did he say Daniel? Woo. Daniel like the Revelation, ain't it? Oh, Hebrews, stop that. This book was written by us, for us, to us. This is your book. You need to see it. Daniel chapter 2. If you got Daniel chapter 2, we're going to roll together. Matter of fact, I'm going to put it on the board for those of you who are in the room. Daniel chapter 2. And we're going to work our way through it. And once again, I already know this is going to be kind of lengthy, so if you cannot hang in there, I understand. But make sure you catch the rebroadcast of this message when it comes back up with YouTube. All right, look at this. It says, in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar did what? He did what? He dreamed dreams. Nebuchadnezzar is a dreamer. Now I'm gonna give you a word. Write this word down. Write the word Nebuchadnezzar. I'm going to break it down for you, like Hebrews break it down. We're not breaking this down what they taught us in Sunday school with little Sunday school book. No, we're using the Hebrew language to break down his name so we can understand this dream he's having. His name, Nebuchadnezzar. And if you know Hebrew, you can already hear the meaning of his name. So you have, first of all, the first part of his name would be Nebo. The last part, Netzar. So watch, I'm going to do this for the room that's in here. If we click on this word in Hebrew, we see it means Nebo, protect the boundary. Does that make sense? His name means Nebo, protect the boundary. So our word for Nebo is the word Nabi. And Nabi is our word for prophet. The prophet is a Nabi. Now, anybody know what they were called before they were called prophets? Seers. So Nebuchadnezzar's name means he is a seer who is to protect the boundaries. Nebuchadnezzar is a seer. Say, wait, whoa, I thought he was a heathen. He is a heathen. Man, I thought he was a despot. He was a despot. Evil as hell. But had the gift of seeing. And maybe that's one of the reasons he made it or ascended to the place of a king in Babylon for his ability or his gift of being able to see stuff. Now, where have you heard? I told y'all we're going deep. I told you this ain't no shallow water right here. I'm telling you. I'm gonna stretch your mind. Oh, by the way, we better put a 100 in the room if you see that for the first time. Did you see his name in Seer for the first time? Who protects the borders? Put a 100 in this room. 100, 100, 100, 100. They rolling 100, 100. So once again, on this Shabbat, as a seer also, I've helped you see something in your scriptures that Yah has shown me. That was worth getting up for. That was worth watching this video for. Why? Because Nebo has another significance. This is not deep, but does anybody know what Nebo is the name of in the Bible? Does anybody know? Nebo is the name of something. Who said that? Ed louder. Say it louder. I want the whole world. It's a mountain. Nebo is a mountain. They called it Mount Nebo. What is Mount Nebo's claim to fame? Anybody? Told you this is a study. We're going deep. Mount Nebo's claim to fame is that it is the mountain that Yah took Moses to. At the end of his life, so he could do what? Mount Nebo has his name based on the fact that from its pinnacle, you can see. You can see all of the land. And there he was able to see all of the boundaries of the promised land from Mount Nebo. So now you can see Nebuchadnezzar, protector of the boundary, Mount Nebo, which has a summit that allows you to see the whole boundary. So in this particular verse, we are looking at some very, very important foundational truths. That this seer that has been placed over Israel at this time is now going to be given a vision. But here is the kicker. The vision he's going to get. Every morning when he wakes up, he knows he had the vision, but he can't call it. And it's killing him, Speedy. Every night he go to bed, get the same vision, because he used to have a vision because his name is Nebuchadnezzar. He's a visionary. He can see. So he normally go to bed, he get a vision, he get up and tell it or whatever. This time he has a vision, he wake up and see sweating like a, woo! Man, what was that? And he's struggling. Like, I'm seeing it, I can't interpret it. The next night do the same thing, go back to sleep. Woo, wake up. Okay, what was that? Dang. Can you see Mrs. Nebuchadnezzar? She said, baby, you okay? Girl, I'm good. Is it that same dream again? Go on back to sleep, honey. It'll be all right. Just go on again. It's killing me. It's killing me. Can you imagine having the gift to see, then get the vision, and as soon as you wake up, it's gone? Kind of remind me of old age. I be saying, you know what, as soon as I get to Shabbat, I'm going to say something. Then I get here, I'm like, what's that all about to say? That's why I start writing stuff down. Start writing my notes. He couldn't pull it up. He couldn't call it. It was bothering him. If you all see plainly that this dreamer is having dreams, this seer is having visions, but he can't call them. I need you to put a 107 in the room because we're rolling together and we're seeing the dilemma together. Watch this. It says he was troubled and his sleep, what? Broke from him. Oh, I'm sorry. Those of you in the room, let me back up. and his sleep left him. In other words, he couldn't get a good night's sleep. All that money, all that power, all that influence, and he can't sleep. Hebrews in slavery knocked completely out. Everybody thinks the grass is greener on the other side. You ain't been on the other side. Some of y'all living your best life and don't even know it. Folks watching you from a distance would give anything to trade places with you right now. So King can't sleep. His wife can't help it. Sleep is gone. Then the king commanded to call who? Come on, let's read together. His what? Magicians. Now, I don't have time to get into all these words, but these magic men and the astrologers and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans, these men make a living off of people supposedly being able to communicate with the gods. That's why y'all pay them. Some of y'all right now don't even, you can't hardly hear me because you're worried about your horoscope. Somebody's still trying to figure out what sign you is. It's ridiculous. Magicians, astrologers, and sorcerers, and the Chaldeans for to show the king, his dream. So his request to the kingdom was that we need somebody here, watch this, not to just interpret the dream. I need somebody to tell me what I dreamed. So he said, man, get all the magicians, the magic men. Okay. Oh, and all them people talking about they into astrology, get them too. Say, okay. And you know them astronomers that always talk about what they can see in the stars, get them too. I said, all right. All right, let's see what happened once he got them. And the king said unto them, I have dreamed a dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream. Then spake the Chaldeans to the king in Sirach. By the way, verse 4, I need to fix that. I'm going to fix that for you. That word Sirach, you see that word in English? This should be Aramaic. And I hear you saying it, Maury, why do you have to bring that up? Oh, because Aramaic is an Afro-Asiatic language. It's the language of Aram in Syria. Now watch this. If I was to take this word, Aramaic, and do a search, let me see, can I do it right here? Look up here, search with Google, watch this. I'm gonna come right back to this. You see that word Aramaic? It's a what language? Oh, it's not Japhetic. It's not European. This is Semitic. This is Semite. This is from Shem. Wait a minute. Assyrian dialect, which is used as a lingua franca in the what?
Near East.
From the Near East. Do y'all see this on the side right here, what the thing is? It says Aramaic. Come on. Aramaic is a what? Or belonging to who? Of the who? Did I write this? It's an Afro-Asiatic. Somebody said, well, what is that? This is how you do research, y'all. This is third grade research. I teach my kids how to do this kind of research. This simple research. Click on Afro-Asiatic since you don't know what it is, and then search that. Then all you gotta do is click image. Now let's go to people. Oh, there they are. There they are. That's y'all right there. I know you've been looking all this time, man. Who's our people? Who's our people? Here they go. Put on the screen right there. There they are right there. See, when y'all look in Africa, all over Africa, trying to see you, and you can't see you, it's because you're not looking in the right place. You're Afro-Asiatic. These are your people. This is your ancestors right here. You see their pictures, they look just like you. Look in this room and look around. Look in this room right now and look at these pictures. You are Afro-Asiatic. Which means you're East African. That's all it means. It means you're from East Africa and you're Asian. Every one of these pictures, when you click on Afro-Asiatic, they ain't gonna lie to you. There they are right there. They keep rolling and rolling. These ain't none of my cousins and aunties and uncles. This is the king and this is the language. These are the people. They still there that we dealing with. How this get in here? When I was a kid, we used to sing this song, go, one of these things doesn't belong here. One of these things just isn't the same. But you see them? Why are they? They're still here, is my whole point. They're still here this very day. These are our people. These are our kids. That's the group we're talking about. So when you all look at the pure Hamitic people and they don't look like you and you wonder how come there's a difference between the Hamitic people and you, it's simply because you are Semitic and you speak a Semitic language, which is Hebrew. Hebrew and Aramaic are sister tongues. If you can speak Hebrew, you can understand Aramaic. If you can speak Aramaic, you can understand Hebrew. Now, you know that look like Jaden Ari and them people right here. That's my babies right there. You know, look just like a family. Madagascar, other places, that's what they look like. All right, I don't know, I went on that little rabbit trail because, see, they don't show you this in Sunday school on Sunday morning. But I'm going to show it to you because this is my job. I'm a seer of the Most High Yah. Hallelujah. And I don't want y'all to ever be in the dark about who you are. I can do the same thing with the Hebrew language. If I click in Hebrew, it's going to take you in the same area. It's going to tell you Afro-Asiatic. It's going to give you the same people too. I just wanted you to see that that's that word. All right. So when they talk to Nebuchadnezzar, they talk to him in Aramaic. So from verse 4, all of these words right here, when it says they spoke to the king in Aramaic, these are the only Aramaic words in your whole Old Testament. I'm helping y'all see, ain't I? We learning something on this Shabbat. If you learning something, put a 500 in this room so I know you rolling with the bull rate. We're learning something on Shabbat. We're learning something. Because they keep trying to tell you that your Old Testament was written in Hebrew and Aramaic. And what I'm trying to show you is this is the only place where Aramaic is used in your Hebrew Bible. And the reason it's used here is because they are recording a conversation that took place between the Chaldeans and Nebuchadnezzar. So they're using the language that those two spoke to each other in. After that, we go right back to Hebrew. They try to act like the whole Old Testament was written, you know, man, it's like a mixture of Aramaic. No, this is the only place. And the only reason it's even here is to give validity to the conversation that took place between Nebuchadnezzar and the Chaldeans. So they use the Aramaic language because that's the language that they spoke. And you saw what color they are. You see what they are. You see the people. I didn't have to make it up. I just clicked a couple of clicks. All right, here we go. They said, "O King, live forever. Tell thy servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation." Verse 5. And the king answered and said unto the Chaldean, "The thing is gone from me." Remember I told y'all that? He would wake up and the dream be gone. So he told them, he said, "Man, the dream is gone. I can't recall it." He said, if you will not make known unto me the dream with the interpretation thereof, you shall be cut in pieces, and your houses shall be made a dunghill. A dunghill? Y'all know what dung is, right? That's the thing that come out the back end of the bull. And you being cut in pieces. Now, I'm not positive about this, but one historian says that it was the Babylonians that first came up with the idea of being able to split a man into 5 pieces by tying them to trees. So they would go in the woods and they would find 4 trees. They would bend those trees, they'll be thinner trees. They would bend the trees inward and tie the tops of those trees with rope. Then they would pull you up there, tie one arm to this tree, another arm to that tree, one leg to this tree, another leg to this tree, and then they would tell you, confess or do something. Tell it. And if you didn't, they cut the rope, the trees would spring back and pull all your pieces apart. So you'd have arms and legs, and then the body would just hit the ground. Boom. That was the threat that he put on these so-called magicians. Woo, I sure wish right now that same threat was on these magicians and soothsayers and all these people claiming to have all this insight and wisdom. Are you going to claim it when it's at the threat of your life? Because I'd have been the first one talking about, hey man, I was just kidding. I can't read your future. Man, I was just trying to make a couple of bucks, man. Come on, dude. I was tired of working in them fields and digging ditches for Nebuchadnezzar. Man, you can have his hat, his crystal ball, his juju beads, and all. Momma Nia, you can take the Ouija boards out, you can take it off. I'm clean. Oh, shoot. You'll stop a lot of foolishness when it comes to fear of death and being cut into pieces. All right, but if you show the dream and the interpretation thereof, you shall receive of me what? Gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore, show me the dream and the interpretation thereof. Verse 7, and they answered again and said, let not the king tell us, let the king tell his servant the dream. Act like they, come on, man. King, just tell us. You know what they knew? If he tell it, then they can just make up an interpretation. Come on, man, just tell us. Verse 8, and the king answered and said, I know of a certainty that you would gain the time because you see the thing is gone from me. Okay, but if you won't make known unto me the dream, there is but one decree for you. Okay, I see what y'all doing, stalling. You know, trying to make up something, you'll get together. King ain't stupid, he's a seer himself, but he's a real seer. So he know fake seers. And he was like, I was through with you anyway. This is a good opportunity for me to wipe y'all completely out anyway. For you have prepared, oh my goodness, talk back. You prepared lying words. Lying and corrupt words to do what? You was going to lie. That's what you're going to do. He said, till the time be changed. Therefore, tell me the dream. And I shall know that you can show me the interpretation. And the Chaldeans answered before the king and said, oh, look what they said. They said, there is not a man on the, they said on the earth. They said, it is not a man on the earth. Verse 10. That can show the king's matter. Therefore, there is no king, lord, or ruler that asks such thing of any musician or astrologer of Chaldean. That's what they said. Not only can no man do this, there has never been a king, a ruler, that's even thought to even ask us. You know why? Y'all been hiding under the ability to lie. You've never been exposed. But right here, Nebuchadnezzar exposes them for the liars that they are. For this cause the king was angry and very furious and commanded to destroy how many? Dead ducks. Now one of them was going to make it out. Kill them all. So guess what? Every little crystal ball shop, dead. Every palm reading little hut, dead. Boy, Bourbon Street be shut down all day. Going downtown San Francisco, all them little shops where they invite you in. Hey, everyone come in. Dead. No more soothsayers. No more liars. No more horoscopes. No more talking about the stars and telling me this and that. He was going to kill them all. Whew. And the decree went forth that the wise men should be slain. Wait a minute. And they, talk back. And they, verse 13 at the end. And they what? They saw who? Wait. They saw who? Now I told y'all last week about what happened with the king of Egypt. And how everybody keep boasting and bragging on how Egypt got all the knowledge and all the wisdom. And that we all should become Egyptologists, and we all should study Egypt, and we should go back to Egypt, and we should now be Egypt this and Egypt that. But we read from our own book the record of the Egyptian Pharaoh, who literally said, Joseph, ain't nobody smart like you, man. And Joseph is a Hebrew, Israelite. Matter of fact, he's the only Israelite in the land. And he's smarter than everybody else in the land. Not my words, the Pharaoh's words. He said in the whole kingdom ain't nobody smarter than Hebrew. And I told y'all that I gave you that information, right? Then I told you I'm going to deal with this next week, so I'm going to show you now. Watch this. Now we in Babylon. You got the world under Nebuchadnezzar. They looking for soothsayers, right? Can't nobody even attempt to say it. They go find a Hebrew. So why are y'all looking into Babylon for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, when Babylon is looking for you? You the Daniel. You the Hebrew in the land. You are the three Hebrew men. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are their Hebrew name. Messiah, Azariah, Hananiah. That's you. Hallelujah. You are the one with the wisdom, not the Babylonians. They are all proven to be fake right now. But when the rubber met the road, when it got hot, when it became life or death, they was like, go find that Hebrew. It's one of the reasons why I have to keep strong. As a Mori, I have to stay strong. I can't get tempted and weak and scared and all that, because I know something that a lot of people don't know. I know that when it's all over, when the rubber really meet the road, they're gonna be looking for the Mori. Somebody's gonna say, wait, what? I remember he was teaching that long time ago. I remember being like in the 2000s, in like 2010 and 2011, he was out there hollering. I thought he was crazy. And some people going to be saying, is he still alive? Anybody got his number? And see, my response is like this. I want to say, I'm alive, but leave me alone. I'm alive, but I'm retired. I'm alive, but I'm in this hammock. I'm alive, but I'm drinking a colorful drink with an umbrella. I done preached till I can't talk no more. All my energy is gone. All my hair done turned white. Now y'all want to talk. So the Most High is dealing with me now to prepare my heart to be in the right attitude then. Because they coming. Pastors is going to be coming. So, man, can you explain the Shabbat? I'll be like, oh. Hey, man, so you said we're supposed to keep the Passover? So what actually is Passover? I'll be like, 500 videos later, and you still, but I'm going to have to be, okay, what's the issue? Well, we was told that if we didn't know the 10 Commandments, they was going to kill us because we was pastoring and didn't know the 10 Commandments. Can you help me learn the 10 Commandments? Oh, he thought the commandments were done away with. I didn't try to learn them because they told me, man, they were done away with. Come on, Moray. Hebrew is in the Bible. Exodus chapter 20, start there. And leave me alone. See, y'all laughing because you know they coming to you too. I'm using myself as an example to represent you. Y'all get that? I'm representing you. I'm just saying me because I know how you feel already. Some of y'all already got that attitude. When certain numbers show up on your phone, you won't even answer. I already talked to that person. I ain't talking to you no more. But the reason why you're going to have to start answering, because when it really gets down to it, the Hebrew is the only one with the answer. Because you're the only one studying the book from a Hebrew perspective. Go find Daniel. All right, so they go find Daniel. Right? One Hebrew, they go find it. Watch this. And the decree went forth that the wise man should be slain, and they sought Daniel and his fellows. To be slain. Then Daniel answered, wait, what is this all about? And Daniel answered with the counsel and wisdom to Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, which was gone forth to slay the wise men in Babylon. Why did he go slay the wise men? Daniel wasn't even in this group. What's the message all about? They're going to come kill Daniel? You didn't even ask Daniel. We killing all of y'all. Hold on. Why is the king so rash right now? Why is he moving with such haste? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going ahead. Verse 15. Said that, why is the decree so hastily from the king? Then Arioch made it known to Daniel. Then Daniel went in, come on, and desired, come on, that he would do what? I'm trying to get you to see something. When they called the wise men, they didn't call Daniel. But now Daniel's being called. Or I would say he's being sought after. He go to the king and be like, hey, so what's going on? Now watch this discourse. It's beautiful. Then Daniel went in and desired of the king that he would give him time, that he would show the king the interpretation. Then Daniel went to his, so he had a discourse. He said, look, I need some time. I like that. The fact that he said, give me a little time. What do you think Daniel getting ready to do? Of course. And Daniel went to his house. Oh, wait. Yeah. And made the thing known to who? Who else? And who are these brothers? His companion. That's his boys. They came up out of, as a crew, They came up out of Egypt together. I mean, they came up out of Israel together. Out of Judah. They running together. He said, hey, y'all, we got to go pray. Remember, I said you need men. All right? So they men got together. It's the same 3 fellas that ended up in the fiery furnace. That they would desire mercy from the Elohim of heaven concerning this secret. Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the wise men in Babylon. Then was the secret revealed to who? Daniel. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Not to none of those other fellas. Only Daniel got it. What does that mean? That Yah's working with him. The Israelites. Matter of fact, you know what Daniel means? Everybody know the word Dan means? Huh? Dan means judge, right? And El is Yahweh, is Elohim. So it's to be judged by Yah or the Yah of judgment. Yep. All right. And Daniel answered and said, blessed be the name of Elohim forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his, and he changes the times and the seasons. He removes kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that knoweth understanding. He reveals the deep and secret things. All this is so good, I don't have time to expound on it. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth with him. I thank thee and praise thee, O thou Elohim of my fathers, who have given me wisdom and might, and has made known unto me now what we desired of thee, for thou hast now made known unto us the king's matter. Therefore Daniel went in to Arioch, whom the king had ordained to destroy the wise men of Babylon. He went and said thus unto him, don't kill us. That's my interpretation. He said, destroy not the wise men of Babylon. Bring me before the king, and I will show unto the king the interpretation. And Arioch brought in Daniel before the king in haste, and said unto him, I found a man. Woo, where is he? He was one of your slaves. One that you took captive of Judah. He'll make known unto the king the interpretation. And the king answered and said unto Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar. They changed his name. I ain't got time, but that's what people do to remove you from your roots. Ain't nowhere in the world your last name is supposed to be Smith or McDaniel or O'Doul. But they changed your name. Art thou able to make known unto me the dream which I have seen? Remember, I told you his name is a seer. And the interpretation thereof. Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, the secret which the king has dreamed cannot the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, the soothsayers show unto the king. But there is an Elohim in heaven. I love that. Woo! That revealeth secrets and maketh known unto the king Nebuchadnezzar, what shall be in the latter days. Thy dream and the vision of thy head upon thy bed are these. As for thee, O king, thy thoughts came into my mind. What you were thinking, y'all let me have it. What should come to pass hereafter. And he revealeth secret and make it known to thee what shall come to pass. He said, man, he's trying to tell you the future. But as for me, the secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have more than any living, but for their sakes that shall make known the interpretation to the king, and that thou mightest know the thoughts of thy heart. O king, thou, O king, sawest, and behold. Now I did all that introduction to get you here, believe it or not, to see what? Behold, a great image. We still talking about kingdoms. he has a dream. And remember I told you, every kingdom has one fear. And that's to be overthrown. And every king has a fear, and that's assassination. So they want to know, and I guess there's a third fear, and that's people just exiting from their country. I guess that's why some places build walls, not to stop people from coming in. But sometimes they build walls to keep people from going out. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee. In the form thereof was terrible. This is what you saw. You were freaking out, and your dream was a terrible dream. Because this image head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver. Y'all see that? His belly and his thighs of what? His legs of, and his feet were part iron and part clay. Boy, what a vision. Man, he saw this big old statue, got a golden head, right? His breast and his arms were silver, his belly and thighs of brass, his legs were iron, and the feet were part iron and part clay, which is weird, because clay and iron don't mix. Thou sawest, you saw that image, and this is what kept waking him up. You saw it till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image where? On his feet. That were made of what? Iron and clay. And break them into what? Pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken in pieces what? Together. The whole thing busted up and became like chaff, became nothing. Gold floated away like dust, like chaff, silver and brass and iron to the summer threshing floor and the wind. If anybody saw the Avengers and you saw when